Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome. So, we've completed our 8 verses of the Sikshastakam, and we're actually thinking of taking you guys on a special journey today and tomorrow. It's what's called Leela Kirtan, which means these are divine play or divine pastimes, where the Supreme Person is full of variety of exchanges, variety of expressions, right? Relationships. And this is actually what the heart is ultimately hankering for. It's hankering for love, to love and to be loved. That is the deepest need of the soul, actually. So, in these stories, we're actually going to this one story that we're thinking of maybe narrating to you today and tomorrow. So, we'll take a break and then we'll do a little kirtan and then come back to the story and then we'll get into our chanting. Um, this is a story that was actually narrated by our teacher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're just going to share the same story with more details. And it's leaving behind um, the limitations of our mind, our senses, our mind, and our intellect, which keep us bound to a very mundane conception, right? A very boring, very mundane conception of this world.
And the story also shows the power of chanting Krishna's names, because that's what we are chanting. Even when chanted with no spiritual inclination or with full material motivation, the cleansing and the purifying and the melting effect of Krishna's names we'll see in this story, and how Krishna becomes attracted to such a person who chants Krishna's names,
no matter what
the motivation is. Yeah. So we have been chanting for 19 days, and we just wanted to end with this. It says in the Vedas that any effort should be ended with sweets, and this is a couple of days of getting into the sweetness of Krishna consciousness, because that's what the heart is hankering for. Knowledge and austerities and everything is good, but our heart wants that sweet loving relationship with Krishna. So it will be our attempt to give you a glimpse of that.
Yeah, like Prabhupada says, the Vedanta actually says, Anandamayo Bhyasa, the living entity is pleasure seeking. And so the greatest pleasure is actually engaging or being, or at least in some way connecting to these very sweet, ecstatic, divine pastimes that are going on.
And that allows us to pacify our mind that as much as we are trying to see Krishna, he's also very interested in us.
So we'll start by
Kirtan.
Kirtan. So we'll just first call out to all the previous teachers and the 5 divine personalities who brought this bhakti to the entire world, distributed it to the entire world. So Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare,
Hare
This is actually a story of a thief.
Before we jump into the story, just want to give you a context that we'll be using names of places like Vrindavan in the story. Vrindavan is a place where Krishna appeared 5,000 years ago. This is a part which is south of New Delhi, and that place is still there. So just to give you a context, when you hear those names, then you can relate to them.
So this is a story of a thief, and he wasn't just an ordinary thief. Actually, he was, a thief in a long line of generations of thievery. That was their family business, so to speak.
They'll pass the mastercraft and hone it in every generation and pass it on to the next.
And so he was, his father actually wanted to train him up. And so he gave him some nuggets of wisdom. And one of the nuggets of wisdom that he gave him was that whatever you do, don't ever listen to or hear anything. It's called Hari Katha, which means talks about Krishna, talks about this divine person. Never ever hear about him. And Govardhan was curious.
He said, why should not I hear? And his father replied that if you hear talks about Krishna, then you won't be able to carry on with your profession.
But just like curious young blood, he wasn't buying into it, because he knew that thievery ran in his blood, and just by hearing some vibration, he really didn't believe that this act of thievery could be taken away from him. One time, he was walking by, and there was an assembly in India. Sometimes you see people, they gather under a tree, and there's a speaker, just like we are sitting here together. This is on a virtual platform, but in traditional villages, you have people who sit under a tree and they're listening to these very charming stories about Krishna and Ram and their prowess and their activities.
And that's like a tradition. Even now, in many villages, many places, the villagers will gather together in the evening, and the speaker will speak about for 2 hours, 3 hours to speak about different pastimes of Krishna, Lord Ramachandra.
And then they'll go home and then be dreaming about those pastimes. So this is how their consciousness keeps getting absorbed. So when he was going there, he remembered actually that his father had told him never to allow himself to hear this vibration. So as soon as he was walking by, he closed his ears, because he didn't want to hear any of those words.
So, and he was passing by, and I guess he was kind of, he didn't pay attention to his steps, so his foot landed on a big thorn, and he just squirmed out in great pain, and he bent down to remove the thorn, so then he had to take his hands off his ears, and while he was removing the thorn, some words that the speaker was talking fell into his ears, and the only thing he heard was, quote unquote, demigods do not throw shadows. And that was enough time for him to take out the thorn and again put his hands on his ears, in his ears actually.
In his ears. And of course, this simply means that there are living entities in the higher dimension and they don't have shadows because their bodies
not material.
They're made of subtle matter. So anyways, as life went on, he was caught by some dacoits.
So he went into the forest. This katha was going on near the edge of the forest. He just walked into the forest, planning his next adventure of thievery. And while he was in the forest, unaware that suddenly he got caught by dacoits who were even more powerful. There was a gang of dacoits who basically caught him. And these dacoits, they have a tradition that they catch a healthy man and then they offer that person to sacrifice in their worship goddess Kali to get more strength or whatever. I mean, it's a horrible practice, but that's what the dacoits practiced.
So when he was caught, right, he was very afraid, naturally, because he knew that it was the end of him. But then what happened was that suddenly he saw this deity of Kali. And he saw that there was a shadow. And so he thought, this couldn't be a real deity, she's throwing a shadow. So then that gave him a lot of motivation. And so then he immediately started feigning that, all right.
So he felt that, okay, there is a hope for me now. Because the deity is not real. What these people are doing is also not real. And there is a hope for me to escape this whole thing. So when he got that confidence,
then he started talking to them and said that,
yeah.
I would like to be offered to this deity, but why just offer me in this unclean state? I'm not at all in a clean condition. Why don't you first feed me and then, and then, bathe me in the water in the river nearby, and then you can offer me. And so the dacoits got tricked into his words and they decided to do that. And
so they took him to the river to take a bath, and the thief already had planned it. So as soon as he went close to the river, he jumped into the river and just swam away. And he swam away, swam with the best of his abilities.
He escaped.
He escaped.
And then he thought, I don't think that my father really knows what he's talking about. Actually, this is what saved me today.
He developed some faith in that talk about Krishna that was going on. Demigods don't throw shadows. And that seed was planted. This is the power of hearing from a pure person, pure soul. That those words, although there was nothing about Krishna in those words, but it acted on his heart and it developed some faith in him that, okay, I want to go in here. This is called Ado Shraddha. This is the first step in bhakti, is this initial faith, tiny bit of faith that maybe I should look into it.
Maybe we should look into it. It's very powerful, just that. And so then he thought, all right, it's not so bad. Just because of that I got saved. So let me go back to this sangha, and see what's going on. So he goes there, and at the time that he goes there, the speaker, he's speaking about the beauty of Krishna, and he's glorifying and he's saying how his body is the color of this dark rain cloud, and how his body is, decorated with all of these beautiful jewels, and he describes this beautiful golden crown on his head, and his beautiful necklace, and his bangles and his earrings, and he just goes on and on and on.
So you'll see that also in Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Purana, and other scriptures. There's a great detail given about Krishna's beautiful form, because we are attracted to beauty. We are all attracted to beauty, and when we hear Krishna's beauty through this wisdom text, then the heart becomes attracted. Oh, okay, spiritual life is full of beauty, is full of culture, full of art. So when this thief, but he had other intentions. So while he was hearing about Krishna's beauty, and then he just dozed off because he was not.
No, hold on. So, but before that, in his mind, he was thinking, see, my father didn't know. There is this boy, and he's decorated with golden crown and ankle, and bangles and a necklace. What if I could just grab a hold of him? What if I could kidnap him? Then that would be the heist of my life. We don't have to go and do these petty thefts, entering into somebody's house and collecting a little bit of money or whatever. This would be the biggest, and then we can live comfortably.
So while he was just daydreaming, he started daydreaming. Actually, he started planning his haste, and he just dozed off because he was, first of all, he was not used to listening to Krishna's talks for too long. This happens to the mind is just kind of mind's way of saying I'm not interested. But he was interested in the thievery, stealing. So he kind of cursed himself. Hey, why didn't I listen to the full thing? And then by the time he woke up, the talks had ended, and everybody gone back home. So he came back again next evening.
So when he came back, he this time again he sat down, right?
Yeah.
And then this time when he sat down, so again the speaker was speaking about Krishna's beauty, and he was just getting more and more mesmerized, and he was becoming more and more determined that this is what I need to do. But that particular day, the speaker actually expanded the talk and started talking about Krishna's dance, this beautiful divine dance that Krishna engages in, where he expands himself into multiple forms.
That's called Krishna's
Rasa dance. And so with each of the cowherd, with each of the cowherd damsel, he expands himself. So now the thief is getting even more excited because he's thinking, oh my goodness, there's not one Krishna, but there are so many Krishnas there, with each one with their own individual crown and their bangles and their necklaces. I'm going to be a very, very rich person once I'm done with this. And
so that day again, he didn't get the whole information because he again.
But he asked the question. So at the end, So at the end of this talk, just like we do, he's the speaker said, anyone has any questions? And so he said, yes, I do have a question. What is the name of this boy that you're describing? So he said his name is Shama Sundar. And he said, and where does he live? He said he lives in Vrindavan.
So Shama means, because Krishna's body is bluish black, so he's also called Shama in Sanskrit. And Sundar means beautiful. So that's another name for Krishna.
So he thought, okay, Shama Sundar, Vrindavan. I'm going to remember this name because I have to find this boy and steal from him. So, what he did was, after the whole thing was over, the speaker said, all right, there's a little, donation box. And so, everybody was going and putting some money. And by the way, the name of this thief was Govardhan. And he wasn't happy that now he had to part with some money. But he thought, hey, I'm in for this big heist. What's a little, little tiny little donation for the information he has given me? So he puts a little bit of his money, his hard-earned money, into the donation box. And that's another thing that happens is that, you talked about Adav Shraddha, that initial faith. And then he rendered, without even realizing, he renders a little bit of service to a pure soul. And so he's collecting spiritual credit in this way. And so now he has, then he thinks, okay, I'm not going to forget this name. So he goes home, and while he's walking back home, he's continuously trying to chant Shama Sundar Vrindavan.
Shama Sundar Vrindavan. And he's chanting with intensity because, see, this is, he has a motivation, but and that kind of propels him to chant with great intention. So he goes home and sleeps off. And the next morning he wakes up, he only remembers one name, Shama Sundar.
So he doesn't remember any name.
No, because he goes back to get the address.
Okay.
Yeah. So, he goes back to get the address, and when he goes back the next day, then the Pandit is gone.
Yeah. So the Pandit is gone, and so now he's really, really disappointed because now he doesn't know where to find him, and he also he doesn't even remember the name.
Okay.
He's forgotten the name and he's forgotten the address, and he doesn't know what to do. So he's like really, really desperate because now how am I supposed to find this person? So then he goes looking around because that was the last day of that talk, and so the speaker had actually gone off. So now he starts asking people around in the village that where can I find the speaker who was here yesterday? And so they say, well, he was from this particular place, and they did give him the address of the speaker who was in Rajasthan. And so now this thief says, all right, I'm going to go find this, the speaker and find out from him. He told me the name and he told me the place where he lives, but, I've forgotten it. And so he makes this long journey in this anticipation that he's going to go and find out and somehow find this boy and be able to steal from him.
So he finally reaches the village of the speaker, and he approaches his house. So when the speaker sees him, he gets scared that, oh, why is this person coming?
Because he could see he was dressed up as a rogue.
Right.
So he knew that this is not a person he was not a gentleman. So he said, what do you want? He said, well, I just want to know what is the name of this boy that you told me about. And so the speaker says, his name is Shama Sundar. And he said, oh, that's a very long name. Can I just not call him Sham? And so the speaker says, no. All the boys, there are many boys in Vrindavan who are called Sham. There's only one Shama Sundar. So he says, just like your name is Govardhan, what if I shortened your name and made it Gobar? And which in the local language means cow dung. So the thief gets really mad, like, don't you dare call me, cow dung. And then he says, all right, and where does he live? He says, he lives in this village called Vrindavan. And he says, tell me something more, because every thief, when they want to steal, they also want to know the particular or unique habits of the person that they want to steal from. So he said, can you tell me a little bit more about this boy? What are some of his peculiar attributes?
Like, what are his habits? What does he like? Is there any particular eatable that he likes? So then the Pandit says, yes, there are a couple of things he likes the most. Krishna likes butter, freshly churned butter from yogurt. And he also likes sugar candy. It's called mishri in Sanskrit. So he likes butter, this fresh butter mixed with mishri, sugar candy.
So now he was like really, really happy because he thought, okay, now I know the name, I know the place, and I also know what he likes so that I can lure him and fool him and get what I want. And so then he starts, now he says, I'm not going to stop this chanting anymore. So he starts chanting Shama Sundar Vrindavan, Shama Sundar Vrindavan, Shama Sundar Vrindavan. And he starts walking towards Vrindavan. And in the course of just chanting, now here he is engaging in this chanting process without really knowing, the goal, the purpose, And actually, his motivation is completely flawed. He simply wants, the only reason he's interested in Krishna is so that he can go and he can steal from him. But yet, he starts to experience these transformations in his body. Sometimes he sees that there are tears that are coming out of his eyes, and he's thinking, am I becoming a sentimentalist? What's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me? Am I being overcome by some disease? His sister, who lives with him, says, "What strange names are you chanting, and what's happening to you, Govardhan? You look very sad. Sometimes, is everything good for you? Is everything good with you?" Um, he says, "No, no, no. I'm preparing for the biggest haste of my life. So this is part of this whole planning." And so he continues to chant Krishna's names, and he starts feeling these symptoms.
Yeah, some ecstatic symptoms, and then he starts his way on to Vrindavan, and and he's thinking, and as he's walking, he's constantly meditating. He's constantly thinking about how he's going to meet Krishna, how he's going to take, have all these crown and these bangles and the anklets and the beautiful ornaments on his body. That is his focus of his meditation. So I think we'll end here, and
So he stole some butter and mishri along the way to Vrindavan,
so that he could feed Krishna.
so he could lure Krishna. And
So we're going to leave it on a cliffhanger now.
yeah, so he met some devotees who were also going to Vrindavan, so he joined their team basically. And they were also singing Krishna's names. So he thought, okay, this is a good cover for me. Nobody will suspect me that I'm a thief and I'm going with his mendicants. So he mixes with them, and then in that he's like, he has his own purpose, chanting Krishna's names. Shyam Sundar Vrindavan, Shyam Sundar
So the
Vrindavan.
question, the cliffhanger on which we'll leave this, and we'll continue, we'll end the story tomorrow, is, will Govardhan the dacoit meet Krishna? And what is necessary to meet Krishna? So we can continue this tomorrow. Yes. So we'll now get into our chanting. So I think we can end with these with this, that what does Govardhan have in his heart right now? This deep longing. It is motivated by his desire to steal, but he's still intensely focused on which is to somehow attain Krishna, attain Krishna's ornaments. And in that way, his consciousness is not fluctuating. It's not going here or going there, but it is fixed on his goal. And his heart is actually longing. Whatever our motivations may be, whatever it is that we may desire in our heart, we can bring all of that and just, bring our consciousness and place it, on this object of our meditation, which is Krishna. The most beautiful object of meditation. Some people have, meditate on a candle, or some people meditate on light, but Krishna is actually the most attractive object of our meditation because he is very attractive. So let's chant now together.
Jai Shri
Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So any thoughts or any comments, reflections? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji and Mataji. When you were narrating that story, there were two things that struck me. One was like you mentioned this thief. He mixes up with devotees so that he can disguise, so that nobody can recognize him. I feel sometimes like I also have that thief mentality, lot of material enjoyment kind of a mentality, and I feel like sometimes I'm in the amongst the devotees, and I'm disguised as if I'm trying to be a devotee, but I'm trying to actually go to Krishna as if I want some material, more material pleasures. That's one thing that I strike to me. And the second thing was when you mentioned that he goes to sleep and he forgets Krishna, but he remembers who told him about Krishna. So I was thinking, like, at least if at the time of my death, if I cannot remember Krishna, if I can remember the person who can take me to Krishna, that is itself is a big achievement in this lifetime. If I cannot remember Krishna at the time of death, at least remember Krishna, the person who can take me to Krishna.
So beautiful.
Both are beautiful reflections, Vishnuratha. Very nice.
Very, very nice. Thank you.
Very powerful.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. Anybody else? Renu, any thoughts from you?
Hare Krishna.
Yes,
Uh,
Renu.
Very beautiful story. He said that we want material things and Krishna also, but at least I think at least I'm taking his name. At least I'm always thinking about Krishna with material things. That is different, but in my heart, I know I want Krishna, but with material things. So nowadays I'm looking for a job. So when I'm not getting anything or any success in this interviews or all, then I get upset. Then I think, why should I'm getting upset? It Krishna knows what I want. Krishna is with me, so why I'm thinking about that? If I'm thinking about Krishna, then I'm saving my time and energy. Why I'm thinking that I'm not getting job, I'm not getting interview, I'm not going through this, and I'm not capable. So sometimes I'm get depressed, but again when I'm listening evening and morning, I'm getting your classes. Thank you so much. I'm again getting positive things. So thank you so much. Even though we don't want to remember Krishna, but now Krishna is not leaving me. He's through you, through your classes. I feel like he wants me now. He wants Ridhima. You have to listen this. You have to chant. So this kind of classes make us positive. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you,
Ridhima.
Vidima.
Thank you for your realization and enthusiasm.
Thank you. Wonderful. Very nice. Anybody else? Misha, Komal, Tina, Bhuvaneshwari, Kakoli.
What do you guys think? What will happen to this thief?
Yes, Mel, go ahead.
I don't know if I should say this, but this is what what kind of came to me with the story, and I love this story. What I thought is that I've not like prayed in any. Sometimes there are that I want so deeply, but I don't necessarily go to like a prayer to Krishna, with that, because I separated it. Like this is my life, and then that is something else. But this thief story is sort of reminding me or telling me that that it's more honest to come with your full heart, even if you're a thief. And so my heart got happy, and I was like, oh, I'm a thief, and I could do that. I could actually go and steal from Krishna, and it made me to be able to say that I could come with my full and honest heart, if that makes sense.
Totally, Mel. That was so beautiful, and it's actually true that we can come as we are, with our full heart, and be completely authentic and be completely honest, and even stand there and say, actually, Krishna, I don't even find you attractive, right? I don't find and that's fine. We are coming in with our full, with our full self, and letting that attraction actually purify. That we'll see that in Govardhan's story, that we don't want to give it away, but it's amazing. There is no barrier.
And Krishna knows our heart anyways, right? Who are we trying to hide it from? Before the thought comes to our consciousness, Krishna already sees it. So I guess when we try to hide it, then Krishna says, what? I mean, I already know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. It was very beautiful story, beautiful, and lovely. And as in this story, the thief, we all are curious, right? That takes us to Krishna, this kind of sangati, right? To your program, to jump together and be in a positive environment. And hopefully, like a thief, we will get somewhere. We are gaining it, right? So,
yeah, that's the idea. Thank you.
Maybe we can take a couple of thoughts. What do you guys think? What would be a nice ending to the story?
Yeah, that would be.
How would you like to end this story?
Yeah.
What is your version of ending this story? Maybe we can take that.
That would be nice. That would be.
If you already know the story, then you can keep it. But
yeah,
if you don't know the story, then let's think about what kind of ending would you like.
Komal is saying, I can totally identify with this story. Thank you, Komal. So please forgive us. We might have to just call you guys, because otherwise we don't know how else we're going to get you to speak. Turtle, do you have any thoughts? It's like Turtle is also not. Quiet room today.
Absorbed in the thief.
Yeah, everyone's absorbed in the thief, looks like.
Renu, any thoughts, like how should the story end?
I'm just thinking, maybe I have a feeling that since he is now going with the devotees, maybe the thief's heart will change, and he would not think of stealing. I mean, he would rather donate whatever he has stolen.
All right. We'll see. Yeah. That's the other thing is with Krishna, how he changes the situation, right? Is it possible for him to change his heart at the same time fulfill his desire as well? That's what we need to see.
The story has a very unexpected ending.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And thank you for the beautiful kirtan towards the beginning of the class. It was so amazing. Just loved it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Maybe we can, tomorrow's the last day, maybe we can spend a little bit longer
on the kirtan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Vinny, any thoughts from you?
Meena saying, I think the thief transforms totally. That's
Hare
what we wrote.
Krishna.
Yes,
Hare
really.
Krishna.
So I don't know, maybe he will get the devotees and then just get even more involved, and then but still like with that mentality of stealing, but then he will see Krishna and then Krishna will steal his heart instead of him stealing Krishna.
You have a heart of a devotee.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you. It's very nice. Very nice. See, this is what we miss when you guys don't share. We go away feeling like, oh, where was our nectar?
Amrita, any thoughts from you? Or Guru Shankar?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yeah, I really like that thought actually. I was just thinking that Krishna is the biggest thief here, he's the one who's going to steal the hearts. So we don't know what we're in this, for.
Yeah, we come in thinking, okay, sometimes, we won't reveal all this, we'll save it for tomorrow. So I think we'll perhaps end here. Yeah, it's getting time.
So, yeah, just meditate on this thief.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, let's see where he leads us.
Yeah, where he leads us. So thank you again. Thank
Hare
you
Krishna.
all. And
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
tomorrow is our last
Thank
day.
you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Thank you.